Alrighty, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Board Games Are for Everybody. This particular episode is something that I want to try and do at the end-ish of every month. It's just going to be a collection of the things that we have picked up over the last month. We do a lot of thrift store shopping. We do a lot of looking on Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji, which is like the Canadian version of Craigslist, I believe it is, for any American viewers. And we go to the board game stores every now and then, but usually we try and get stuff a little cheaper when we can. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over the pickups that we've done. This particular video probably going to be a little longer than future videos, only because it's going to cover the last couple months of things we got. So let's hop into it. First thing that we got here, we found these chess pieces. We found these really cool chess pieces that I really liked. I am a big fan of chess. It wasn't something I was able to put into my favorite games video the other day there because moving the board that we have is a little tricky. It was a little hard to do. Maybe sometime down the line, I will show you guys the board that we have and that we play on. I think that's everything. Bishops are in here somewhere. Oh, and the queens. The queens are in here too. There's the queens there. And where are our bishops? There's the white bishop. There's the black bishop there. So these guys are really cool. I thought they were really nice looking pieces. I want to say they're like Renaissance pieces. They're just made of plastic. It's not like a wood or a metal, I guess. I think I've seen some metal chess pieces or anything like that. They're just plastic pieces. I just thought they looked really cool, so I wanted to pick them up and give us something a little new to use. I mostly got them just for the pawns. The pawns that we have on our current board. The board that we have currently we found with some really nice wooden back row pieces, but the pawns were unfortunately missing, so we had to just use some of our old plastic pawns, and I thought these pawns looked a lot nicer. We're just going to put this over here. Next thing we got here is Canopy. Canopy is a card game. Basically, you are building a rainforest. You're trying to do a bunch of different stuff. Your biggest objective is trying to collect different flowers, to collect different animals for your rainforest. Some have beneficial benefits, I suppose, and some have detrimental benefits. You're also trying to make the tallest trees that you can in your rainforest. It's a really fun game. I thought it was interesting. This was one that we picked up just at a store. I had heard a lot of really good things about it, and I wanted to check it out. This is one we might hopefully do a playthrough for someday, but I would have to learn how to do the solo rules. But we might get a multiplayer, a two-player game going for a playthrough sometime. Next thing up here is that we found these. Now, this chest here we found to case them in, and the sticker up top here we made, but we found these really nice Mahjong tiles. Now, Mahjong, a lot of people, when they see these guys, they think solitaire Mahjong, trying to match the tiles with... Oh, they've kind of flipped apart here a little bit. Trying to match the tiles with like tiles in order to clear out the board. I am a lot more familiar with Japanese Mahjong, which is Riichi Mahjong, something I have very slowly been learning. I actually picked up a book. I also play on the Nintendo Switch on the Clubhouse games. I play the Riichi Mahjong all the time. First time I played Mahjong was through the Yakuza video games, was the first time that I picked that up. But yeah, these were really nice tiles. These were something that we did find at Value Village. All of this we found at Value Village. The tiles themselves I believe 1 week we were there, and they had them behind the counter. They were in a chest. They had a different chest beforehand, but they were asking like, I think it was $65 for them. And we were like, that's too expensive. Mahjong Tiles, not usually cheap, but too expensive for a thrift store. And literally like a week later, we went back to the same thrift store, and they had taken them out of the chest. They just had them in a plastic bag up on the wall with like all the bag of toys and stuff like that. $4 for the Mahjong Tiles, which I won't complain about that. We found this chest, we cleaned them up. It was only missing one tile. It was missing one of the North Wind tiles. All we did, actually I think it was right on top here. All we did was we cut out a vinyl piece, and we just put vinyl on one of the blank tiles, which it did still have all of its blank tiles. So we were just able to very easily replace that, which was really nice. But yeah, really nice Mahjong set. I'm really happy that we found that. I really like Mahjong, so it's nice to be able to have a tile set. So one day when I properly learn how to play, I can actually play on a table instead of just in the video games. That was stuff falling all over the floor. We're going to deal with that in just a sec. Next game we got here is Battle Line. Battle Line is, in very basic terms, basically it's a card game, but it's like a game of war. You're battling with your opponent to try and make sure that your forces outmatch their forces, and more or less you're playing poker hands, trying to battle for the line. Battle line. It's pretty funny, right? But yeah, more or less you're playing poker hands. You're trying to capture either 3 of the command points in a row or 5 in total before your opponent can. Really fun game. I really enjoy that one. I'm just gonna go grab that stuff that fell here, and we will actually talk about those next. Okay, sorry for that. It's kind of all falling apart here, so I'm just going to put it up on the table here, and we will talk about it while I put it all back together. But that is Onitama Light and Shadow. It is the expansion for Onitama. Well, a expansion for Onitama, I should say, not the expansion for Onitama. Basically, it adds an element of surprise to the game. You've got your ninjas that each player can control now. You basically reduce the amount of players that you have on each side so that you can use a ninja. The ninjas stay hidden from your opponent, and you can use them to basically sneak attack, which is pretty cool. Did these not go in here? Come on, I'm pretty sure it's the right spot. Maybe not, it's a little small. Maybe not, it's a little small. Oh, they sit in here. Okay, that makes more sense, I guess. Lanterns go in here. There we go. You can tell how much I've played this. I think we've played it a couple times. We've only had it out once, so reboxing is definitely gonna. But you got the nice same mats that you have for the original, which is nice. But yeah, Onitama, really fun. Sorry, getting distracted here trying to put things away. Onitama is a really fun game. Just base game Onitama even. This adds a little more strategy to the game, which is cool. Biggest detriment to this is that having a random element can kind of take the strategy out of it. I am a bit more of a fan of knowing the options that you have and kind of knowing what you need to analyze, opposed to just having to blindly guess and be like, well, they could be on this spot, but they may not be. I have no idea. But yeah, Onitama Light and Shadow, it is something we'll talk about when we talk about Onitama. Really fun game. I really enjoy it. Onitama Light and Shadow. Next one we got here is a small dexterity game, a really compact game, that is Paku Paku. This one's pretty fun. Basically, this one doesn't really have a back. We'll just open it up here. Basically, the object of this one is that you are rolling dice, and everyone plays simultaneously, basically. And as you're playing, you're rolling dice, and if you roll one of the food dice, you have to start stacking dishes onto the center tile, and if you are the person who's stacking dishes and you knock over the pile, you lose points, or you gain points. I think it's whoever has the most points loses. I can't quite remember the rules. It's been a little while since we played, but it is a very fun game. It's a very chaotic game. I think we've played it with 4 people at most. But yeah, Paku Paku, fun game. I enjoy it. Definitely a good time. It says 2 to 8. You can play up to 8 people. It's entertaining. It's a very entertaining dexterity game. I enjoy it. Don't know if it's something I would get out like daily. Great party game though. If you have a lot of people who like dexterity games, really fun game. Paku Paku, good one. Next one we got up here, we got off of Kijiji. We found someone who was selling it. We got a handful of the expansions as well. That is Blue Moon. Saw a video of this one online, was really interested in it. Really like the card artwork. This is one of those games where they made all the different decks have different artists. So all the different types of cards have a different artist who drew them. Lots of really cool looking cards. The mechanics of the game, fairly simple, honestly. It's really easy to get into. There are different rules depending on which expansions you have. But yeah, Blue Moon, really fun. I enjoyed it. I know the person I usually play with, they weren't as into it, but not every game's for everybody. The base Blue Moon obviously comes with the Hoax and Volca. We also picked up the Buka Invasion, we picked up the Kind expansion, and we picked up the Terra expansion, which is actually unopened yet, still sealed. But I really enjoyed Blue Moon. It's something that I want to play more, and I want to kind of learn a little better. I think there were some rules that we misinterpreted, or maybe we didn't correctly apply while we were playing. But Blue Moon, really fun card game. Really, really interesting back and forth with the players. A lot of fun. I really enjoy it. That is Blue Moon. Next thing we got here, another one that I saw online. This is one that we just got from our board game store, and that is Paris, La Cité des Luminaires. I don't speak French. You're gonna have to forgive me for how poorly that was probably pronounced. But Paris, this is a really fun game. As soon as I saw this one online, I knew that it would be one that we would probably enjoy. I am a big fan of tile placement games. I'm a big fan of that overthinking kind of a thing while you're making moves, overthinking to the point where you're probably making a worse move than you could be. In fact, we enjoyed this one so much that pretty much the next day we actually ended up picking up the expansion, which we ordered online. This one we got from a different board game store, but we did have to order it online. The store we usually go to did not have it. But yeah, the expansion basically just adds more of the victory point cards, new ways to play the game. It adds a lot more verticality to the pieces, more 3D pieces. You have the 3D arch, you have the 3D Eiffel Tower, lots of 3D stuff. It makes me wish that the base game had much more 3D pieces to it. We're looking into actually getting a 3D statue for the the Thinker statue piece and possibly like a 3D fountain. But yeah, Paris, really fun game. This is definitely one we'll probably end up talking about. This is definitely one that we'll probably end up doing a playthrough for. But that is Paris, really fun game. Next thing we got, another one we got on Kijiji. That is Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. Barely even fits in the camera here. We have very slowly been going through this. I think we're on maybe scenario 4 right now. We're still learning the rules. The instruction book goes up to scenario 5 before you can start playing without needing the instructions. So we're still getting through all the instructions and all the mechanics and stuff. I really enjoy this game. It makes me really want to get just base Gloomhaven, which I've always looked at, but I always hear that base Gloomhaven requires a lot of table space, which we just don't have, unfortunately. But this one is a lot more compact, just being in the book, so you don't need as much table space. You still need quite a bit of table space. This is one that I also hope to do a playthrough for, even if it's just a solo playthrough. But yeah, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, a lot of fun. Really like it. Makes me want to play just regular base game Gloomhaven someday. Someday that'll happen. But yeah, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, really fun, really enjoy it. Next thing we got here, we actually picked up, at the same time we picked up Jaws of the Lion, and that is Francis Drake. This is a beast of a game. The board for this game is massive, barely fits on our table. This is one we've watched some videos online on how to play, but we just haven't gotten to it yet. Looks really interesting. I really like the way the game looks. I really like just all the pieces that the game comes with. Something you will learn over the videos that I do is that I really like three-dimensional components to games. I like just being able to hold stuff and move stuff around. That's why I don't particularly play a lot of card games, but it is something I'm getting more into. Obviously, Canopy and Blue Moon, both card games. It is something that I am very slowly starting to warm up to a bit more, but personal play preference, I really like the physical pieces. I like just taking up an obscene amount of room with all your components and stuff. But yeah, Francis Drake looks really cool. Haven't gotten to it yet, but hopefully we will be able to get to that fairly soon. Next one, another one we picked up on Kijiji. That is Dragon Scroll. This one's a lot of fun. Really interesting mechanics. I love the tile laying. I'm a big fan of tile laying games. I'm a big fan of procedural generation. So I'm a big fan of the map for this game, which is procedurally generated tile laying. Worst thing about this game, one thing about this game I'm not a huge fan of, the back doesn't really have anything here, that I'm really not a huge fan of is the attacking mechanic. Basically, you've got this tower here that you set up and you shoot your marbles down the tower, and you've got this guy here that it sits in, and depending on what's on the side of the tower, depending on where that marble lands, there's different enemies on each side of the tower. So depending on where the marble lands on the bottom here, that's what enemy you attack. But if you don't defeat every enemy in combat you get into, you're actually penalized. So I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't like being penalized for something I can't control, basically. But outside of that, I think it's a really fun game. The pieces to the game are very nice. They're very, very nice components. But yeah, Dragon Scroll, really fun game. I just want to find a way to kind of mitigate that randomness, even if it's just not giving out those tokens that take your points away if you don't happen to kill everybody. Because that's the one thing I didn't really like about this game. But outside of that, Dragon Scroll, I enjoyed. I liked it quite a bit. Next thing we got here, we picked up, I think it was like $10. not too bad is Tortuga. We haven't played this one yet. As you can see, it's actually still sealed. Just haven't had a chance to get to it yet. I thought it looked pretty interesting. Again, I like all these pieces that come with it. I think it looks interesting. I've heard some mixed things about it. Unfortunately, I've heard with 2 players it's a little weird, and typically we only have 2 players to play with. But it was pretty cheap, and it looked interesting enough, so it's one that I wanted to try out. Tortuga. Hopefully we're gonna get to that one soon, and it's maybe something we can talk about it. But yeah, looked pretty interesting, and I thought we would try it out. Next thing we got is Blockus 3D. We're actually a big fan of the original Blockus. We used to play it quite a bit, and I never actually knew that there was a 3D version of the game. Honestly, it's pretty fun. I really like 3D Blockus. Basically, instead of your regular tiles, you have all of these. Place these down here. You have all of these 3-dimensional tiles, and players are playing everything in 3D space, trying to get the most squares on the top layer of whatever of these inlays that you decide to put in, if I put it in the right way. So basically you would put this inlay in, and this is your playing spot. Depending on how many players you're playing with, it shows you how many layers you can go up, and you have to try and have as many of your color on the top layer as you can. Pretty fun game. We played it a little bit, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was quite fun. But yeah, that's Blockus 3D. So we got a couple more games here left that we picked up. The first one here was a Value Village find, and that is Commissions, the real estate game. We tried to play this game, and we couldn't figure it out. The rules were not straightforward enough that we could figure out how to play the game, which is unfortunate because it actually looked like a pretty interesting game. I really like how the board looked. I'll see if I can get the board out here if I have enough space. But I really like how the board looked. Basically, you are a real estate agent trying to buy and sell houses in this community here. And it looked pretty interesting. It looked like a fun game, but we unfortunately just couldn't figure out how to play it. The rules were a little confusing. So maybe someday we'll find someone who knows how to play the game and they can teach it to us, or someday we'll just understand the rules a little better. But yeah, that's Commissions, the real estate game. Looked interesting. Oh, geez, sorry about that, guys. There was probably a bit of a pop there. I hit my microphone. Apologies. But yeah, that's Commissions. We thought it was interesting, but just we couldn't figure it out. So maybe someday. Last game we got here is another game we picked up just off of Kijiji, someone who was selling it, and that is Forbidden Sky. This was one that I have seen quite a bit in stores, and I always thought it looked interesting. I have played Forbidden Island before, which I ended up selling because I wanted to pick up Forbidden Desert, but we never actually ended up getting Forbidden Desert, so I just haven't had a chance to play that one yet. But this was one that looked pretty interesting, so I wanted to pick it up. We really enjoyed this one. I really like the 3D aspects of everything. I like having to make the circuit in order to get your ship to blast off so you can get off of the space station. It was a really cool concept. I liked having that circuitry, almost like a science element to it. You're teaching people about circuits and stuff as part of a game, which I thought was pretty cool. And it's one that we will probably play again. We only played it the once, but what we played was really interesting. We really enjoyed it. But yeah, that's everything we've picked up over the last couple months. If there's anything you guys have picked up, anything you've been playing, leave a comment down below. Always interested in hearing about new games, different games, stuff people are playing. Maybe it can give me an idea on some games that we should take a look at, or some games even to try out for ourselves. But yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I will see you all next time. But until then, just remember that board games are for everybody, and I'll see you all then.